Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're doing another indie horror spotlight. Today, I have with us, he's a director, and he has a film out right now that's hitting the film festival circuits, and it's called Shucks. I have with us my man, Ty Bruley. Ty, welcome to the Horror Room.
Thank you for the invitation. I appreciate the invite and sitting down and talking with you.
Anytime, man. Anytime. I love talking to horror fans and filmmakers, man. So this is always a pleasure.
Nice, nice.
So tell us a little bit about Shucks.
So Shucks, it's actually a movie that we first released in 2017. So it's a silent but scored black and white film. It's 50 minutes. It's very unpolished, very gritty, and we went with that idea. Like I said, in 2017. It got picked up on Amazon Prime for a couple years, and then our first film festival before that was in Oaxaca, Mexico in 2018. And then it kind of fizzled away a little bit, and I decided to create this cinematic world that's, so ever so popular with those characters from that. So we've got 10 titles in that. Most of them are short films or music videos, 10 titles from Shucks. And then when Skinamarink came out about 2022. That indie film that just kind of went viral. It was still Shucks was still on the Amazon website, so it started pulling people that liked Skinamarink because it was similarly shot. Pulled them in there over to Shucks, so there was a peak in interest from the original Shucks. And then with our most recent title, which is called Seventh Circle, it resurged again. So all these festivals have had these 10 titles. They always call me back and they're like, well, where did this originate from? So it's an older film, but it keeps on, popping up in people's radars every couple years, which is a fortunate thing for a filmmaker. So it's nothing that's new, but it's, we just had our Hollywood premiere earlier or in the middle of February. We've had it in LA. We've shown it a couple times there, but actually Hollywood, we had it at the TCL Chinese Theater, which was a big move. So that's kind of fresh on our minds, and hopefully it's going to give us some motivation to finish this next short film called Seventh Circle.
Now, one of the things that's tough, especially we have a horror film that has no dialogue, you still got to build that atmosphere that gets the audience terrified and unnerved. But you have to do that in a different way. So, what were some of the things that you did?
So I've got my background is in music. I started my artistic journey in music 20 years ago. So it was my intention to use that music as that captivating, that eeriness, that's the thing that's going to get you distressed. That's going to get you disturbed. That's the tool that I used. And then of course, some of the visual angles, and then the bait, the just a little bit of this at a time until you kind of just show the final character later on. But mixture of that unsettling. So some people have called it like EDM. That wasn't my goal, but if people relate that to EDM type style, I'm very heavily influenced by Rob Zombie and like a Kanye West musically, not personally, not their lifestyle, not his lifestyle, but his music. I'm very heavily influenced by both of them. So that was, to answer your question short, it's just the music was what was supposed to kind of get under your skin and start that way. So that's it's gone both ways. I've had people really hate that approach, and I've had people really praise it, which is good. That's what art does. So some people said I missed the mark on it, and some people said I hit the bullseye. So, for every viewer, they make that decisions, which is good. And I accept that. So, that was my attempt. So whenever you watch it, or you guys watching it out there, you tell me if that made you feel unnerved or unsettling or whatever.
So why do you feel like so many horror filmmakers? So I'm an 80s kid. Right. Why do you feel like so many horror filmmakers are going away from that that score, that music. I mean, because I mean, you look at John Carpenter. It was more about, I mean, that score, that music, the piano sliding, that had you fucking like, oh shit, more so than anything you've seen on camera. And it seems like more horror filmmakers are relying on the visual and the jump scares more so than that whole complete atmosphere.
I think it's honestly, I think it's the technology of the cameras. It's advanced so fast, and people are falling in love with the filmmakers themselves are falling in love with that technology so much that they kind of neglect those facts that have always been there, like the score. So they're like they're learning these new tricks that they can do with the camera, and they're like I feel like the last on some of their lists are the score. And I think that's the reason why, is because we went from 1080, we jumped to 2K, then we jumped to 4K, then we're jumping to I don't even know really what these red cameras shoot with, anymore.
I think they're like 5K. Yeah.
Right. And yeah. So like, I'm just seeing that, consistent jump. And then you've got, your AI mixed in there. And then you've got the heavy reliance on CGI, which really in the grand scheme of things, CGI is relatively new too. So people are still, they're learning all that. It's just like when CGI came, people just started neglecting those practical effects and those animatronics and things like that. I think that's where this score, and what we're talking about, this score, I think that's where that's unfortunately been swept away. But you do have, like John Carpenter, he brings his son in. And his son starts helping him with the composure of the newer Halloweens. So you've got people that still like to do that. And then like Gretel and Hansel, there was just this, not well-known German composer. Like that was a really good example of a mixture between visuals and score. So you do have it, but I agree with you. It's not like it was.
Yeah. And you bring up something about, Shucks. And I've been bringing up recently in on previous interviews, you take a movie like Shucks, it has that grainy, grimy look to it that we grew up with when it comes to horror. And with the advancement of cameras, it seems like the newer horror movies, they're too clean, they're too pretty, they're you can see everything. And that takes away from it takes away from a horror film. Like you're not supposed to see everything. You're supposed to be like, what is that shadow there in the corner?
Yeah, that I agree with that 100%. I was just watching the new Final Destination trailer. That's like super clean. It's super clean. It's lit up. You do want that. I mean, that's a pop level horror film, but like you still want that level of, curiosity. Like, what am I seeing? And then on the other hand, you got Nosferatu, which went like completely overboard with the shadows, which could be a good thing or bad thing. I've got to watch it a few more times. I'm not knocking it, but like it's all in the shadows there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And now when it comes to movie making, one of the things I've noticed when it comes to horror filmmakers, especially, is not using the proper lighting when it comes to the film. As someone who watches a horror film right now in 2025, 50% of the movie, I don't know what the fuck is going on. It's too dark. And so when it comes to lighting, why is that such an important thing also?
It's what you just said, is like what you need to hide, you hide, but you hide it well enough that you can see it. And then the things that need to be in the broad daylight, it's a tricky, I guess, task to accomplish and execute. It's very important, but I can see it would be one of those things like last on the list once that thing gets into production, and they're like, it's like this. You go and it gets neglected far too easy because maybe they had to cut out a light man's job. I'm talking about like, heavier productions, some with a heavy budget and things like that. But I've seen some of those, really go to, just, hey, we don't even have enough money to pay for this person. I'm not a
Yeah.
king of it either. I'm not a king
Uh-huh.
of it either, but I use a lot of strobe lights. But hindsight shows me that the more advanced I get in age, the more aware I am of what that can trigger, and it can trigger the seizures and things like that. So I've really tried to like reserve myself from, because that's an easy fix, because you can strobe and it does exactly what you just said. It shows you and then it takes it away, and then it shows you and it takes it away, and it's a really cool effect. But in the past I've relied too heavy on that, I think. And I take a lot of pride in shooting black and white, because sometimes I do overexpose the shot on purpose, and then sometimes I underexpose it. But I really don't want to do what you just said, because it turns the viewer away when they can't
Yeah.
really, And I think Nosferatu is one of those. The newest one is a prime example of what you said, because depending on what kind of theater, what kind of TV you're watching in
Hmm.
that, if it's not that high resolution laser with with projection, you're not gonna see it, and you're gonna get frustrated. I remember watching the very first Aliens and Predator
Yes.
at my in a theater where my
Me
college
too.
was, and I was so mad at that movie because I thought it was really too dark, but it was, in
It was.
actuality, it was a combination of it being too dark in that theater, like you just couldn't see it. So like now when I put it on the 4K, or the on the even the 1080, you can kind of see it a lot better. And I was so mad at that movie when
Yeah.
I should have been mad at both the movie and the projectionist.
Yeah. I mean, that's the issue that I had with Walking Dead. Like, I stopped a couple seasons before it ended, but I started getting annoyed with Walking Dead because they were shooting these night scenes, and like I had no idea what the fuck was going on, and
Yes.
like and it was just so dark. And when I started doing this YouTube channel, it's been 2 years now, and exactly, and I did not know how important lighting was. I did not know. You watch some of my older shows and the lighting is terrible. I did not know. That's something you have to learn as a while. Like, you have to have soft lighting here, hard lighting in here. You got to have something behind you to pick up everything. And
Right.
it's, lighting is so important.
Right. I still improve on that each time I have a shoot. I really enjoy shooting. Most of the things that I shoot are music videos. And those I really love to use natural light just outside, because I don't, unless I really want to get a good grimy 90s hip hop boom bap, like black and white feel. I usually I'd use the natural light. Because there's no beating that, honestly. I mean, and just right now I'm seeing the difference from like me having my little circle light in my office compared to what we're doing right now. I don't have that, and I can tell the difference, just
Hmm.
from just a podcast,
Yeah.
and that's it's the more you learn about the lighting. And I'm gonna tell you, I guess you did interview Harry not too long ago, right?
Yep. Last year.
He is a really good. He lights his rooms good. I don't know if you saw the Enter the Room, but he lights it really good. And I met him through some of the film festivals that I did too. And then we actually have a film festival here in my hometown. We've just finished our second year, and I always reach out to him. I'm like, whatever you got, man, let's put it in the film festival. Now I really appreciate his lighting, and then you just start talking to people and learn. And then you've got people that never have gone to school for it or don't know anything about it. But when I see see that finished product, I'm like, how did you do this? And some people
Yeah.
like some stuff from Five Below, or just random stuff that's not expensive. And I'm like, teach me. That's what I like to do with the indie film circuit, is like we can teach each other, and then we can get it, because like we don't know what some of the viewers or what the other filmmakers really like and what they don't like until we just
Mhm.
open up. And I've done all kinds of art in my career, and like really filmmaking is such a really cool community that is understood that it's not really a lot of competition, because there's room for everybody.
Mhm.
There's maybe those, like, those acting positions, just that lead role, there's going to be a lot of competition for that. But like when it comes to this, like we can really all work together. And really, since COVID, I've seen that, really explode. Just the teamwork in between, people that I work with and the people in LA, and just learning these tricks of the trade, or people that just self-taught tricks. It's a really cool thing.
It is. And COVID, I mean, this show is a product of COVID. COVID definitely, we're locked in the house, and our creative juices, things that we normally wouldn't have done. It gave us, I think COVID was a good thing. Unfortunately, people died and stuff, but it gave some people a way to, things they normally wouldn't do. They're like, fuck it, I'm going to go ahead and do this now.
Absolutely, man. It gave perspective. And then like for the filmmaking community, it was, right after that. And then there was one small strike, and then there was a bigger strike with SAG-AFTRA, and then that opened up independent filmmakers even more. So those two like perfect storms got it to be where, I don't know if you're familiar with that, the new Werewolves movie that came out at the end of last year. I met Steve Mill, the director of that, years ago. He was working on his rendition of Silent Night, and met him about 2012. And then I was talking with him to get him to the film festival, and they put that out completely independent from the ground up, from the funding to the promotion to the distribution, and even getting into the theaters. It was completely 100% independent, which is, like Terrifier 1, 2, and 3. Those are really and I think that's a really, it's an indication on what COVID and these strikes were able to provide for this independent scene. And then you got, some of them winning, Academy Awards. And it's like, this is a heyday for us independents to really, really shine through. And that, like you said, people passed away, but there's silver lining for the future that it has happened through that. And I'm hoping that we can, as independents, because that's the next step, is independents taking over things. And it's always on the cusp, but right now it's like, it's really up and above, and it's in everybody's face, especially in the horror community, because Terrifier just, changed the game.
Now, speaking of Terrifier, right now there's in the horror genre, extreme horror, what it become, movies or even books, splatterpunk, stuff like that, is like the big thing, pushing the envelope, extreme horror. Do you think we're going to get to the point where we're kind of desensitized? And because, I mean, how extreme can you really get? I mean, there's going to be a point how extreme you can get where you shock people unless you had to kill somebody on camera.
Right. I mean, I really think it has to do with age, and the demographic, because I think no matter what film is made at this point, it is for the younger generation. Because that's the generation that is not desensitized quite yet. There's always been these little floaters coming through, like the Human Centipede and mess like that just is so over the top and sneaks into the theaters. But this, like you said, is the most extreme level of horror, and the highest reach, the biggest reach that it can reach people. I think it can be, but I think there's always going to be these teenagers that no matter what, that the teenagers are going to be shocked like hell for the rest of their lives, but they won't be shocked much more after that. But there's always going to be, that quote from, I think it's Matthew McConaughey, that the thing about the college girls, they all stay the same. They always stay the same age. So there's always that group of people that are going to be super shocked. And there's always going to be that group of, women or men that go to the theater with their partner. They don't like horror movies. They see it, they puke, they get it recorded, and they put it up there like, this is the next puke fest movie. Yeah. There's gonna be that. But for people like us that really get into it, like, there's not a whole lot at this point for me as a viewer that can really shock me. And that is the double-edged sword with horror, because, as a fan, you want that. You like, even the Terrifiers really didn't get me. The second one did, with the salt in the wound kill. That was intense. But like the third one, there wasn't any of those like really taken back moments. There's been a few films that have kind of done that for me, but just in different ways. I remember being shook by The Boy, and The Boy is what it was called, that where the man's actually living in the house. You know, I didn't see that coming. A lot of people were seeing it coming, but I was so invested in just watching it, not trying to see the trailers beforehand. And you know, that's not over the top, but it just hit me. I'm like, whoa, this is really good writing. If people don't take the whole trailer and, you know, put the whole plot in these trailers nowadays, that's the other thing that I don't like about
that's the other thing.
It's tough. And I mean, I know it's not horror, but the new Captain America, the whole thing was shown in the trailer, the whole thing, you know. And I think me and my buddy was talking about, I guess Bill Murray's in a movie called Riff Raff. And he's been going on a podcast run, and he had never seen the trailer, and they showed the trailer, and he's like, why in the hell are they showing this whole fit? That's too much of the plot. Nobody's going to want to see it.
Exactly. I don't know why they do that, but I want to bounce on something off YouTube. Like, you know, my co-host, I have another show called Horror Talk on his channel as well. And my co-host, Adam, he's like, Travis, you're going to have to, I need for you to dive into these indie extreme horror movies. Like, and these movies have been out for a while, like the August Underground trilogy, and stuff like that, right? So I'm almost through the August Underground. By the way, Fred Vogel, I would love to have you on my show. I just, because you're a sick motherfucker, and I would love to interview. and
I think it's Brian,
I sent him a DM and he hasn't responded yet. Hopefully he responds. I think it'll be a fascinating interview. But like, so I'm diving into this almost like snuff fucking horror shit.
Yeah.
Ty, I think I'm fucking desensitized because like Adam is telling me like, oh my God, this is so disturbing. I'm like this. Like, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah. That's the point you get, and that's the risk we take. Like, that's why, you know, dope fiends always want that next hit, because I mean, really, I'm kind of relating it to it, but I mean, it's a similar feel. It's like, man, when am I gonna feel that way again? And it's a rare thing. I mean, I appreciate the filmmaking aspect of it, but like, I lived in China for a while, and we moved back home 10 years ago. So like I'm 44. So 10 years ago, I was still kind of, you know, I was still feeling my emotions out, and we would get a hold of these Japanese crazy movies that were out there. And some of those got me. I can't remember, what they were called, but it was a whole series of them. And one of them was about a mermaid from the sewer. I don't know if you heard that. I wish I remember these names, but it was really that might get you. I don't know. that kind of got me. I mean, it was, you know, it was crazy. And then, you know, a lot of Japanese culture, they're very infatuated with octopuses and
tentacles
squids.
And shit.
Yeah. So there's films dedicated straight up to that. You got to do a little bit of digging, but like, it's, you know, I like to get into a person's mind. I mean, I don't know how safe it is or how unsafe it is, but I keep it safe with personally, I keep it safe. You know, it disturbs me, but I'm not going to go find me a squid. I ain't going to do that. Yeah. But, you know, it how these people are, it really intrigues me, because there's something that's going on that's making them feel the need to put that out there in the world. And I think that's, even as grimy as some of it is and gruesome, I think it's a beautiful thing to get that out there, because if it's not out there, it's inside, and you know, it's just like something that can fester like a you know, it can. And if you don't get it out there, you don't get your art, you don't get your ideas out there, you're going to be a angry person.
100% agree. Now I'm trying to think if this show is going to be up before the next horror talk, because I might be revealing something. Okay, so anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. So like so like Adam and I, listen, I'm halfway through the August Underground stuff, and I'm like, okay, this is fucking disturbing, but it's not psychic, you know. So I went to this horror convention this past recently, and I'm networking with other creators there, and this woman says, "Oh, I'm a content creator," and I was like, "Oh," because I hear content creator, I think YouTube or podcast or something, but no, she like does porn, and she sent me one of her videos. Ty, it was the most disturbing fucking thing I've seen in my life. Like, I'm
Yeah.
still like, it's still like I'm. By the way, I'm gonna be interviewing her soon too. It is the most fucking fucked up shit I've ever seen in my fucking life. Like it, and it's just like, but the worst part about this is real compared to horror. Like this is real, and I'm like, holy shit! Like, how do you get into the mindset to do this as a human being?
Yeah. Now that's a whole nother level of like, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't
Holy
know.
shit!
That's when you're dealing with the pleasures of the flesh, that's a whole different. I mean,
That's
because
a horror movie on its own. I'm telling you, that's a horror movie. That extreme porn shit,
yeah,
that is worse than extreme horror.
I
That
can't
is
imagine. I
holy
refuse.
shit.
I refuse to get in that. I'm sorry. Like,
Listen, I don't. I didn't even want. Listen, I'm done with porn now. Listen, I'm completely done with fucking porn now.
yeah,
After seeing that shit, I am completely done with porn. I never even knew that there was shit out there like I suspected, but I actually saw it, and I'm telling you, I watched the August Underground movies all the way through like this. Okay, that's fucked up. But this, oh shit! I was like, yeah, I'm cutting this off. This is I don't want this in my psyche, and
right.
and it's been a couple of days, and I'm still fucked up from seeing that because
It's
I'm
gonna
like,
be.
this is a nice, pleasant, the nicest woman you will ever meet, and this is what she does. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, yeah, man. I can imagine, dude. I can imagine, like, cause that with that is definitely like that dope fiend hit. It's like you got to top the last one, your last thing you did, because you're not gonna, you're not you're not gonna get
She's
it.
putting all kinds of things
Yeah,
in her asshole, Ty.
yeah.
She's putting all kinds of fucking things, like all kinds of things in her fucking asshole, and I'm like this. Well, how is this possible? How do you not die?
I'm afraid, man.
That's the most disturbing fucking thing. It's not a horror movie. That fucking porno, fucking it fucking. I'm telling you, I'm fucked up from it. Like I don't even want to see somebody to fucking see that shit. I don't want to share that shit because I don't want someone having that on their fucking conscience and their soul for the rest of their life.
Hey, man, just try to sponge it out somehow.
Ah, I'm trying to find a.
I hate
I'm
that
trying to
for
find
you,
a
man.
good. I might watch a fucking, but the Serbian film. I've been holding off on seeing that because people
Yeah,
said that. Have you
yeah.
seen that?
I saw it when I was in college, which has been 20 some years ago. So like that was, I remember being pretty shocked about that. But at the time, it wasn't just me dedicating the time to watch it. It was me and 10 other people in a college apartment. So like nobody was really like when it got too uncomfortable, somebody we would be talking or something like that. So like I haven't one on one with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because
So
I've heard that's a hard watch. I heard that's a
yeah.
hard watch.
Yeah, there's some like I'm gonna have to look now that we're talking because like I would go to these little hole in the wall places in Shanghai and just they have bootlegs and I just get stacks of discs, man. I mean I've got a bunch around here and I'd look and there probably some that I've never heard of, you've never heard of that might I could probably rip it and send you a file or something, man.
Yeah, I
Because
need something fucked up. I
yeah,
need something fucked up tied to take that out
yeah.
of my head.
I need to
That's not
find that.
real. That's
I
not
need to
real.
find that. I'm gonna go ahead and look it up real quick because the mermaid in the sewer, that's the one that if I can remember. But also that's been a long time too. But it was like a whole series of Japanese horror films, or it could have been just Asian horror films. I just remember this one being Guinea Pig. That's the series, Guinea Pig. And
Guinea
this is
pig.
called Mermaid in a Manhole, is what it's called.
All right, somebody
Uh,
find that.
but yeah, like I don't know if you can be able to see that. Just that screenshot right there is enough. You know what I'm saying?
All right, I'm gonna find it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to a dark place now, Ty. Thanks to Adam and the chick at the fucking horror convention. I feel like I'm slowly deep going into this deep
Yeah.
horror. But I like to. I don't know about you, man. Do you take breaks from watching horror? Like you see how John Claude Van Damme back there. I like action
Yeah,
films too.
yeah. I
Do you
watch a
take
lot,
breaks?
like I watch almost everything that comes out. I got a good relationship with the theater here in town. So like we do some bartering. So like I get to pretty much see whatever I want. Um, and plus I'm trying to I have a really bad battle with alcohol. So like whenever I feel like I want to go drink, I'll go to the theater and watch just about anything. The things that I don't get into is like when I get in there thinking it's going to be a movie and it's like a faith-based thing, I just try to, I'm
Oh
not
yeah,
interested in that type of stuff. And so like I keep a good balance because I learn something every time I watch a film because like I just want to keep on creating, and I don't necessarily always want to do horror. That's where I want to go with most of the time, but like I really want to get better technically. So I watch, I get a good balance with it all the time. But like when it's something I really want to do, it's definitely going to be horror.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Because I mean, I
but
watch a lot of horror for this show, and like sometimes I have to take like a week or two horror break because like you can start fucking getting into that dark realm
yeah.
if that's all you watch all the time.
Right, right. You're absolutely right. You get that dark realm. There could be some depression. Something could hit, click with you and be
Mm-hmm.
like, damn. I mean, it's the older we get too, the more I think the more fragile our thinking gets. We get
Yeah,
stronger maybe in other areas, but it's like we could get not triggered easily, but just like we could get into a dark place fairly easy. And there's some things that like there are some things that horror films bring out that it can get you
yeah.
in that place. So
And you
yeah, I
start
definitely understand.
and you start thinking about it. People are getting killed. You're like, oh, that's someone's daughter or son and stuff.
Yeah,
You start thinking about shit like that when you're in your teenage or in your 20s, you don't think about.
right, right.
Yeah.
You being an '80s baby too. I remember like never wanting to see those faces of death ones, man.
Oh, I
Those
saw
fa-
them,
yeah,
and that was a mistake. I saw
yeah,
them way too young.
yeah. Those were the ones that got me like because 100% that's real. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
then that's where it gets to me where I'm like, damn, you really start thinking about it like.
yeah,
And that's back when like you didn't have the phones and stuff. Somebody really had to set up some cameras and film and
yeah,
stuff, man.
yeah.
But yeah, dude. I see your Texas Chainsaw Massacre back there.
Yes.
I'm a good friend of Alan Danziger, who was uh, the Chainsaw Jerry in there.
Oh,
Uh, and he came down for our first film festival last year. We were the first people that screened the 50th anniversary, so it was really cool to bring him
love it.
down. He got to talk to the crowd. We did a couple of interviews with him, and he was actually in Hollywood the same week I was for Shucks. It was kind of like a family thing, like because we really got pretty close. So maybe try to get him to holler at you and talk
Yes,
with you
most
because
definitely, man.
he's got a new movie called Weed Hacker Massacre, and he's trying
What?
to bring,
I
yeah,
love it.
he's trying to bring like into the metaverse with that,
Yeah, I
and
love that.
it's really cool. He's got poker face instead of leather face, and I didn't get to see it at the premiere, but he's got it out, and that was the first time that he's shown it was in February. But yeah, I'd love to try to link you up with him.
That'd be
And
amazing.
and then there's another. I don't know if you've heard of Cannibal Comedian yet.
I have not.
All
What is
right,
that?
it's brand new. It's another one that was It's about 5 years old, but it just got picked up by Screenbox. So you can, if you got Screenbox, you can watch it on Screenbox. It got up to the top two. It beat out Terrifier 2, and is right behind Terrifier 1 in their
Wow.
top 10. So they just got that released for March 4th, and I know those guys pretty well because of the film festival circuit too. And I think that
Send them
yeah,
over, man.
I
Send them
will.
over. I would love to have them.
I
I
will,
will.
man. And one of the producer was a producer from the Terrifier 2 and works with Kevin Smith a lot. So like I like to do that where like, try to make everybody's life enhanced a little bit. But when I saw that Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I was like, yeah, man, we have at least Alan out on board. There's a couple other ones that are still alive and kicking too. Ed Neal was the hitchhiker.
Mm-hmm.
And he's, he's a good guy. I've talked to them several times on the phone. And then where you went to Pennsylvania for something?
I've been to Pennsylvania for a creature feature.
Okay, all right. One of the things that I saw, I thought you were in Pennsylvania. But if you ever come to North Carolina, you need to come down to the festival.
Well, I'm from North Carolina, so
no
I'm
way.
in Baltimore now. Yeah, I'm from New Bern, North Carolina.
Oh, I'm in Asheboro, man.
I know where Asheboro is, man.
Yeah.
Oh no, I mean, I was last year. I was at Creature Feature. No, not Creature Feature. What's it called? Carolina Fear Festival. I was
at
in
Carolina
Raleigh. Fear Festival in Raleigh last year. Okay. And then I think there's something going on this year, it's in Ashbury, isn't it? Isn't there a convention?
There is. We had our film festival in January in Asheboro, and then they have the Carolina Fear Fest again this Memorial Day weekend.
But there's something else going on. There's another horror convention that is on my radar in North Carolina.
Yeah, they did it in, I think, not Day of the Dead. It was in Concord like last week or the week before.
But that was Mad Monster. I was there for that year, that last year. But there's a new one that I never even heard of it. I'm gonna tell you what it's called. Let me see. It's Carolina. By the way, if anybody ever wants to know where horror conventions are, what's called, there is a site that's called horrorcons.com, and you can't see on the phone, but it literally has every single convention where it's going to happen, and it also has a link that sends you to those.
Nice.
So,
yeah, that's kind of what we're trying to do with our festivals, kind of like mesh in a convention atmosphere with a festival. So you got that meet and greet type deal, and then you also have the films.
Yeah, it's a new one. It's called Carolina's Horror Fest. It's October 4th, and it's in Asheville, North Carolina.
Okay, Asheville. Okay, that's up in the mountains area. That's a beautiful city. I could see them doing that. Now Asheboro is so small. I mean, we have the zoo. But it's so small. Like, this is our first 2 years of a film festival ever, and it's been a hard thing to pull off. But we've got strong events. It's just the people in this city are a couple years behind, couple years behind, man. And me and my wife, we sit here and we really try to. We have 2 kids, and we debate all the time whether we should stay or go or move away. And thankfully for my work, I get to go to LA a couple times a year or so, and that's almost like commuting my art. And I can get out there. I can do in a week there what I can do in 3 months here. So I just go out there for a week or for a couple days and then come back. And she's a nurse, and we just keep on thinking, like, where should we go? And then, we're like, there's stuff going on. We can help this community bring culture to it. And like, we're slowly and surely doing that with, like, we have monthly events and things, but the biggest thing we focus on is this film festival, because really, if you think about it, music and film are that great universal language where, you look all around the world, people go out with their families on holidays, they go to the theater, they sit down, and no matter what, that's like one of the top things everybody in the world does.
Yep.
And so like, we just don't have that kind of culture here. And like, for the last 2 years, we've been able to try to bring it to them, and now they just got to accept it. They got to accept it.
Yeah.
Because we were bringing some, we brought the 50th anniversary of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like I said. And then this year we did the 45th anniversary of Forbidden Zone, which is the Richard Elfman film. And we got Richard here. We got his wife, Anastasia. And that's another film that they just put together, Bloody Bridget, which is going through the film festival circuit. That's pretty big. And that can be one of those horror characters that, could become another cult classic. So, and, we had them right here in Asheboro, and like, nobody knows, nobody appreciates that yet, but they will. That's the goal, to get people to understand the culture and appreciation of film. in that community. So,
Well, remind me next year, and that's going to be on my list of film festivals.
awesome.
I'll be at next year, and I'll even sponsor you guys as well. So
That would be awesome. I'll
yes,
make sure to remind you, and
yes.
please,
the first of the year. Remind me.
well, actually,
So when is it? It's going to be in January.
actually, we ran into some snow this year, so we're considering moving it to the late summer or early fall.
Perfect. Yeah, just let me know, and
I will.
and the horror room will be a sponsor of the film
That'll be
festival.
great, man. You can get that. We have a really good, we got a beautiful stage. It's historic theater. I mean, you could even sit down and film a couple of your podcasts right there on stage, man, with some of the people there.
That'd be
Um,
amazing, man. I
and
would love that.
yeah, we'll work together. I would love that too. And I appreciate you sitting down and talking with me. I'm gonna get you a list of films that I can figure out, and
Yes, I need some fucked up films. I need some fucked up films.
and try to get the contact for Cannibal Comedian and Alan and them.
Yes,
Because I think that's a horror comedy that I think you'll enjoy that. So
I love it. I appreciate it, man. Listen, but wait, Ty, where can everyone find you and your work?
you can do MTTS TV is the YouTube channel. Like I said, I started off in music, so I still do that. But if you want to see the videos, it's MTTS TV on YouTube, and we've got different playlists for different things that we do. It's a melting pot of different things. I film for the youth theater company, so you'll see some plays up there. You'll see my films up there. You'll see my music videos up there. You'll see some. I was on hire for belly dancing troupe, so you'll see a lot of belly dancing videos just randomly up there. Just you'll see some commercials I've done. I've done a couple of documentaries for local businesses here. I've done some social activism work, so we were trying to bring some awareness to the Confederate statue that we have in town, trying to get that to where it's moved out of downtown. So we've got just a lot of things on that channel. So you had to sift through it, but that's my video work, MTTS TV.
Well, listen, everybody, definitely check it out. And Ty, listen, we're going to keep in contact, man.
Yes, sir.
Keep in contact. All right, everyone. Well, thank you for coming to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and that's my man, Ty Briley. We'll see you next time. Take care.
All right.